Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you. I love you and appreciate you. If you are new here, I hope that you'll consider subscribing and becoming a part of the fam. So if you've been in a wilderness season, then this video is going to be for you. I definitely have experienced my fair share of adversity, of trials and tribulations, but I've also experienced the goodness of God and continue to day in, day out. I'm grateful for new mercies every morning and His grace and His protection. I just want to take a moment to talk about a few things that I've been dealing with, and hopefully it encourages you along your journey, as I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one and that someone needs to hear this. Been dealing with a lot of financial stress, a lot of stress in like business, career, job, in that arena. That has been, I would say, the bulk of the stress. Of course, there's a lot going on in the world, but that's been the bulk of the stress for most of this year. So I've had moments where I've had extreme highs and extreme lows. And that's the thing about entrepreneurship. I'm learning that you have to have faith to be an entrepreneur. You have to have unwavering faith. And it was an area that I didn't know that I was lacking in. I considered myself to have faith, to be a woman of faith. But I think I had trouble trusting God in the area of my finances, in the area of business, in the area of like job and career. And it sounds crazy because it's like, okay, we're talking about the God of the universe. Like, He's the creator of it all. Why would you not trust Him in this area? And I started working. I got hired at Sears, department store in the mall, when I was 17. And I was just coming up on my 18th birthday. It was my very first job, so I had no like experience working for someone else. I mean, I had worked the year prior, I had worked for my aunt's daycare, but that was like a summer gig, and you know, it's like I'm gonna get my niece over here to watch these kids. Like it wasn't, like I didn't have like an experience with having like a paycheck. So this was my first time working for real. I was working part time and then I was going to school part time. I had just started at our local community college, and I started taking some classes, and I was like, okay. And I was kind of filling some things out. And so I had made the decision not to attend um, a university that was in LA. I live just outside of LA, maybe like 45 minutes outside of LA. And I decided to go with the smaller community college where I could stay at home versus living either on campus or near the campus. I lost my mom when I was in the 10th grade. And so my little brother, he's 8 years younger than me. So he was 8 when my mom passed. I graduated at 17, and my mother passing changed the trajectory of my life naturally. I was very close with my mom. A lot of people say I look a lot like her and I act a lot like her. So it was devastating to say the least. And I had to grow up really fast. I had responsibilities. My dad, was now the sole breadwinner and like a single parent. So he worked a lot. He worked long hours. We lost our house. We moved in with my uncle. It was a lot. Put all my mom's stuff in storage, and we couldn't afford to keep the storage, so they sold all of her belongings. I only have like maybe 3 things from her, but like pictures, her clothes, her everything was sold. So I have to hold on to the memories. I have to hold on to what she taught me, what she instilled inside of me. And one of those things was get a good job, work really hard at it, retire. And my mother was a nurse, and my dad was a custodian, and then he was promoted to a custodial supervisor, and he ended up retiring from that company. But he got hired with that company literally like the same year that I was born. So he worked there for 35 years, and he retired. Moved from California, moved to Texas. I had started a makeup artistry business in California, and I was working on that part time, and I was working full time as a clerk for LA County. So I decided, like, okay, let me, I was encouraged by family, by friends, to actually start a business and take it serious. And I was like, okay, never saw myself as a makeup artist, but here we are. I had dreams of writing for the screen, writing for the stage, and was extremely blessed to have some amazing opportunities to study, to perfect my skills, and like develop my craft. And I I struggled with rejection. I struggled with um, confidence, and validation. I felt like I wasn't successful unless I had sold my script to a studio, or I was staffed in a writer's room, or I had won a screenplay competition, or I'd seen, my play on stage somewhere. Um, and so God started dealing with me about how I view success and what that looks like, what that really looks like. And so I started to just dive into the education part of it. I started to take classes, and I started to apply for competitions and fellowships and um, workshops and things of that sort, so that I could become a better writer. And all my focus was on writing. And so in 2010, I gave birth to my first daughter, and um, my husband and I were not married then. And so I was a single parent for the first like 6 or 7 years of her life. So I I didn't have the luxury of, quitting my job and diving into the creative side of me. I am naturally a singer. I've been singing all my life, and I started writing songs when I was about 16, and I'm 37 now. So um, I sang in the choir at church, and I danced on the praise team, and that was my home church. I was literally like born on a pew. And I thought I was doing all the right things. And it wasn't until recently that I had to start um, unlearning a lot of things. God started to strip a lot of things away. And I just didn't understand it. I was like, okay, I'm going backwards. Like, this is crazy. Like, and so I say all that to say I digress. I know I talk all over the place. Just stay with me. I'm gonna tie it all in, I promise. Um, so I went through a lot of changes. When I first started working at 17, I stayed with Sears until I got hired by a local car dealership, and I was working as a shipping and receiving clerk for a Chevy dealership that was in our neighborhood. Um, and from there, I worked there for a couple years, and then I got the call to interview for LA County. And my best friend was working for LA County. Her mom worked for LA County as well, and her mom encouraged me, like, put in an application, take the test, and like, once you get in LA County, you're good. So I came into LA County at 20, and it was just before I started in like April, and my birthday was in November. I was just about to turn 21 that year. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So it was like that was 2008, I believe. And that was the year. Like, I got a new car, I had got a new apartment, I had got um, this new job, and it was paying much more than I was making at the car dealership. So I was excited. I was like, okay, like, girl, you doing it. You being an adult, you living your life, you doing your thing. And a couple years later, we got pregnant. So when I gave birth to my daughter, I went through a very like difficult time, and I was just extremely depressed. I was very unhappy. I had a very difficult tenure um, at LA County, working under the leadership that I was working under. I felt targeted, I felt retaliated against, I felt attacked. And I stayed in that environment for 12 years before I relocated to Texas. It was my goal and my intention to retire with LA County. So when the time came to start a business, I always thought of it like, okay, but my first thing, my career is, in the clerical field. And, I like to know things, and I like to research and study things and practice it until I feel like I'm an expert in it. And I felt like that. And when it came to like clerical work, so I was like, okay, I'm a clerical expert. I know this. I know how to do office jobs in my sleep and customer service in my sleep. And I was just like, okay, like this is the path for my life. And then I would just do writing and makeup on the side. But I really didn't go into it thinking about the money that I would make from it. I learned very early, there's a saying in the theater world that if you want to be rich, you don't go into theater. My goal for writing for the stage was not to get rich. I knew that you can make excellent money screenwriting, but I knew how hard it was to break into the industry, and the film industry is a whole nother beast. And so I just was like, okay, like I'm not doing this because I want to make good money. The way that I saw myself becoming wealthy was through working, was through working for LA County. I was thinking maybe I can move on to um, a different position that I would, promote, and I would just kind of work my way up. Or I was open to transitioning to another major company and working my way up there. That's how I envisioned attaining wealth. When I started makeup, I definitely didn't start thinking that it was going to make me any money at all. I did faces for free, and when I did start charging, I charged $25 a face. I think I upped that to like $50, 65 max for brides. Um, and this was around 2016 when I got started. So it was, I was charging way beneath my worth. It cost me a lot of money. I used the money that I made from LA County to build my kit. And that was how I saw it. I came across something where somebody said, think of your 9 to 5 as your investor to your business. And I held on to that for the rest of my journey. And I just was like, okay, let me think about that. Like, and so I started to do it, and I loved the way I felt when I did makeup. I loved making women feel beautiful. I loved seeing the transformation. And I'm a natural makeup artist, so I like to do makeup that enhances what's already there. It's not like extremely transformative. So I was like, okay. The more that I got into it, the more that I started doing makeup, I started realizing like, I think this is bigger than what I think, than what I envisioned originally. And I started to realize that I was sharing my testimony and listening to testimonies, praying with clients, talking about the Lord with clients, talking about different things that they've been through and how they've overcome, and sharing my testimony with them as well. And I was like, wow, I think that this is getting a little deeper than what I envisioned. And I naturally have these like organic conversations with women. Like even as a clerk, I worked the front desk in medical records, and ladies would come up to the window all the time and they would share things that they probably shouldn't probably wouldn't normally share with a stranger. And I started to realize like this is bigger than me, and I need to pray about this, and I need to really listen to what God is trying to communicate, because he was making it very clear that he was that a seed was being planted, that he was birthing a ministry. And I realized I've been through a lot in my life, and I know what brokenness feels like. And I believe that that women that have also dealt with trauma, that have dealt with adversity, that dealt with brokenness, they're drawn to that um, in me. And so I was like, okay, let me try to see if I need to cultivate this. I didn't know that it was a ministry. It was prophesied to me that I was going to be a minister when I was like 13, and I remember thinking to myself like, I don't think so, because my ideal of ministry was completely different of what, I was 13. So a minister to me was someone who stood in a pulpit and preached the gospel, or someone who went out and like evangelized, or somebody who was on the corner telling people that Jesus is soon to come, going out and feeding the poor. I didn't see myself as a minister because I didn't know what ministry was. And even at this point, when God started to reveal to me that there was a ministry that he placed inside of me, I still fought that, because I fought my identity in him. I thought that my identity was predicated on the things that I had done. And I said, people know me as this. And I thank God for delivering me out of that mindset. He's still doing it. But I've always associated value with and worth with titles. So that wraps it up. I'm so grateful for you watching the first part of this video. I hope that you've enjoyed it thus far. The next part is going to be dropping soon, so make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that you turn on your notifications so you know when that next video drops, and so that you can hear the rest of the story. I can't wait to continue the conversation and to share what God has put on my heart. I hope that you're encouraged, and I'll see you in my next video.